I think it's starting. I think that's it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sound Booth Theater Live. I'm your host, Jeff Hayes, and we are going to get started reading some nice requests that you guys brought in. Let's see. Let me look at our list of things. Oh, no. Shut it, Jeff. All right, here goes. We're going to be... No, I just turned that off. Okay. Feedback loop. I believe this one is in Steampunk is Dead. Why is this? This should be books 1 through 3. What is going on here? Yeah, so book 2 of the Feedback Loop series, Steampunk is Dead, I believe has the quesadilla scene. What's up, Anime Adam and Ian Mitchell? Thanks for hanging out. If either of you guys know exactly where the quesadilla scene is in the Steampunk is Dead, I would really appreciate any help with that, because whoever requested this wasn't specific. So I have to go searching for it myself. Okay, why is this book taking me to books 4 through 6 when it clearly says books 1 through 3 on the cover? There's something shady going on here. Yeah, this is... Oh, this is a... Okay, this is a preview for Reapers and Repercussions. What's up, Richard Mulder? All right, so I'm going to search for quesadilla. And meanwhile, I'll tell you the other two books that I'm going to be reading from. So Richard M. Mulder has put together, I think it was him that organized this whole thing. He put together a GameLit expansion pack. Let me pull that up and do a screen share. We're going to fall into the void for a second right as we're doing that. So please bear with me. Here it is. Okay, so the GameLit expansion pack, number 1 new release in science fiction anthologies right now. So that's pretty exciting. And this is an anthology of titles from short stories from Brian D. Anderson, Anthea Sharp, R.M. Mulder, Richard Mulder, A.E. Scully, James Wymore, Terry Spider, Eden Red, Stan Farina, and Dimitri G. Knight. So a bunch of different authors. And the actual short story that we're going to be reading from is called Darkforce, Expansion 1 by R.M. Mulder. I believe I read a couple chapters in a previous Sound Booth Theater Live. So if you look back through our back catalog, you'll be able to find the first bit. I'm sure let's see, while battling each other in an FPS setting, players must find a set of hidden stones infused with an ancient power and return them to various obelisks surrounding the land. Little do they know, however, that the more they level up in the game, the more they carry out the sinister work of the loathsome creature called the Leviathan. So, I'm struggling to remember. Dude, you guys, I do so many of these. Quit judging me. All right, stop. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I'm sure when I start reading again, it'll come back to me. And then, lastly, but not leastly, for sure, is Succubus 2: Hell to Pay. Now, I was pretty impressed with the cover of the first one. There's certain reasons why this cover, I think, is so successful. And kudos to you, AJ Markham, if you're listening, for your success in this series. This is book 2. I'm pretty sure you can tell what this book is about. Maybe let me go read the synopsis for book 1 real quick. Ian just wanted a job as a quality control tech for the biggest virtual reality game online. Instead, he met the woman of his dreams, who just happens to be a demoness from hell. Ian starts off as a level 1 warlock, and after summoning a mischievous imp named Stig as his first servant, goes on a series of quests to win the ultimate prize, a sexy, smoldering succubus who will fulfill his every wish. But Ilaria has a mind of her own. When she's not playfully seducing Ian and then driving him crazy, leave me alone. She's plotting revenge against shadowy figures from her past. Maybe I should just. There we go. I just muted my computer. Ian gets drawn into her plot, and the three of them, Warlock, Succubus, and Imp, man, that sounds so good, go off on an adventure full of bloodlust, blood, and, well, lust. This is a story featuring naked women, lots of foreplay, hot sex, demons, warlocks, violence, revenge, and moral quandaries. If you're an old granny lady who's going to clutch your pearls every time a woman's breasts are described or somebody gets naked, this book's not for you. So, definitely for us. And I don't know whether to say fortunately or unfortunately, means that this will be a part of Cringe Theater for today, but I hear that the scene I'm about to read is fucking hilarious. So I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, that's the show for today. So keep stick around if you can, and we'll read all three of these. Chapter 9, Quesadilla. All right. Ian Mitchell says, Chapter 9 case. You were kind of drunk at the time, so I don't forget. I was kind of drunk when I read it, so Richard doesn't blame me for forgetting. Ian Woodhead tips his hat at me. Thank you, Ian. A, a gentleman and a scholar. Let's see. Oh, Ian Mitchell wants an audiobook, so there he goes. All you have to do is request, guys. Yeah, Danny says 1 out of 5 claimed. That is correct. So if you guys want audiobooks, there's 4 more left. Anyway, sorry, I forgot to stop the screen share. All right, we're back. We're back in normal booth vision. I'm gonna go check out chapter 9 for Steampunk is Dead. And if I remember correctly, this is one of my favorite feedback loop scenes. I always love it when Quantum has to fight his FDA monitor. It's one of the funniest things Harmon writes. And I'm just going to start from chapter 9. And if Ian Mitchell lied to me, then he's fired. I mean, sorry. That's just, this is a cutthroat business. We got to make decisions sometimes. So, hold on. 1, 2, 3. That looks like 4 out of 5. Looks like 4 out of 5 requests for the audiobook. So, man. There we go. 5. John Kroom gets one. So congratulations, all you people who were so quick to jump on the free audiobooks. It makes sense. Why wouldn't you? All right, here goes. Chapter 9 of Steampunk is Dead by Harmon Cooper. Oh, that's like the only one I didn't screen share for. So let me go ahead and go look at that cover. Now, I'm going to go look at the Steampunk is Dead cover for us. But keep in mind, guys, this is book 2 out of a series of there's going to be 4 books pretty soon on Audible in the Feedback Loop series. But this is book 2 out of a box set. There's a 3-book box set of the first 3 books. So make sure to go pick that up if you want it. But this is the cover for Steampunk is Dead. It is on Audible and it is excellent. I think High Fantasy is my favorite Feedback Loop so far, but they're all good. So either go pick them up one at a time if you feel like it, or if you want to get a deal, get the box set, books 1 through 3. Quantum Hughes might be my current favorite character to play, and so the fact that this is first person, just I don't know, it just makes the whole Feedback Loop one of my favorite things to narrate. Period. So for sure, go pick that up. And yeah, here goes. All right. Chapter 9. Awake in the real world, stuck in a vat. The slight ringing in my ears subsides, but the shit-eating grin on my face remains. There's nothing like a suicide to set the record straight in a proximal world. Sometimes the only way to get the best of your enemies is to take them with you. I spit the mouthpiece out. Get this shit off me, Rocket. Working on it, Quantum? I can hear him tinkering with Francis's dye vat. The support frame sits me half up, and as I disconnect the NV visor, I'm instantly blinded by the light in the room. We really need to change the lighting in here. I blink my eyes shut, and the iNet login screen appears and fades away. The urge to rip myself from the vat comes, and I suppress it. Rocket is hovering over me now, his breath reeking. He could use a shower too, but I suppose we all could. Why does it feel like we were in there for a couple of days? That always gets me. The support frame sits me fully up, and I twist my neck around, listening for that satisfying crack. The same reason dreams seem to last forever or disappear in a few seconds, he says. Ooh, whoa. I started going into the Sam Elliott narration. Just got done recording War Eternus 2 very recently, so that's why. He says as he deals with some cables and tubes. My eyes adjust to the light, and I look over to Francis, still sitting in her dye vat with her eyes closed. You all right? I ask. All right. Enough, she finally says. It was just a battle, I say. We can't die, you know. I know, but... She bites her bottom lip. We don't have a lot going for us in Steam. What do you mean? I thought we did pretty well today. Rocket says, there are Reapers there now, and surely they know about you too. Why else would they attack the cable car? Both of you have also been blacklisted, and the indicator potion doesn't seem to work on the airship. When the going gets tough, the tough get bigger guns. We can handle it. If you two didn't see, I gave those Steam enforcers a parting gift courtesy of the loop. Which didn't do anything, Rocket says. Remember, I'm monitoring your actions. I saw you explode, and guess what the Steam enforcers did? They went right back to their perches. No effect whatsoever? Nope. Drat. Francis shakes her head at me. This is serious, Quantum. We need to get to Ray Steampunk. We need to talk to him, and it is going to be even harder to reach him now. Well, figure something out. Also, Rocket says, those FBI IG agents stopped by again. The ones from yesterday. I told them to come by again tomorrow morning. They didn't seem too happy about it. I'll do everything I can to cheer them up then. That's just the kind of guy I am. Francis lowers her arrows onto my hotel's rooftop parking lot. Baltimore zips all around us, brimming with activity. It's late afternoon, but I'm completely exhausted from today's sojourn into Steam. My aluminum cane is between my legs, a constant reminder of how weak I am in the real world. A reminder of what I really am and the choice I made. Forced nerve regrowth and stem cell therapy has come a long way. Still, cybernetic replacements would have left me cane-free. A man has to stick to his convictions, even if they kill him. I raise my hand to fix my hair and remember that I only have a little peach fuzz on my dome. It'd be nice to be able to change my hairstyle on a whim, as I'm able to do in a proximal world. The more I exist in the real world, the more I wish to be as far away from it as possible. Maybe this is the plight of humanity playing out in my tiny, insignificant life. Maybe we are destined towards distraction, which VE Dream Worlds ultimately supply. What is the end of our distraction? When do we simply become brains in a vat? What is the end of our distraction? When do we simply become brains in a vat thinking our existence is alive? Strong thoughts from a worldly weakling. You've been quiet, I say, turning to Francis. Someone needs to say something, and I figure that someone is me. I just need some rest, she says, yawning. You sure you're okay? I'm fine. You wanna come up? I nod to the hotel. Francis Euphoria cuts me down with a cold stare. Why? We could watch some Maltese Falcon. We never finished it. I think I need to head home, she says. I'll pick you up in the morning. I'm out of her little Honda Ford Aero seconds later, watching her lift into the sky. She waits for the appropriate air lane to become available and sails away, disappearing into the swarm of vehicles above Baltimore. Taking it slowly, I walk into the hotel through the sliding glass doors. The lobby is expansive, complete with tiny indoor pavilions separated by frosted moto glass. They're pod-like, meant to facilitate business meetings, illicit and otherwise, as well as a place for the wealthy travelers to rest their heads while the room is prepared, or while their flight is delayed. If I were in the loop, I would set this place ablaze just for the hell of it. That's my mood as I make my way to the elevator. I'm just about to press the elevator's button when I remember something. A human droid hotel hospitality team member walks by and I stop him. "I'd like to place an order for room service," I say. "I'm sorry, sir. Order taking isn't one of my functions." "So you're completely unable to take an order? That's entirely beyond the scope of your abilities? There's absolutely no way you can take an order? That..." Okay. Um, that was Harmon Cooper telling me that he can't join the stream. I'm kidding. I didn't think he'd come anyway. I didn't think he cared! "So you're completely unable to take an order? That's entirely beyond the scope of your abilities? There's absolutely no way you can take an order? Too good to extend hospitality to hotel guests, are you?" If I may, sir, you can place an order over iNet on the elevator ride to your room. It's quite simple." I look the droid over. Black vest, white shirt with a black bow tie, damn near translucent skin, hair like a movie star. His eyes give him away. They are truly soulless, mirrors into a brain made of wiring, not tissue. "Over iNet?" "Yes, sir, over iNet." "I don't like using iNet. How about placing an order for me? I need..." "No, want." "No, need is fine. I need 2 beers and some type of appetizer delivered to my room. The name is Quantum Hughes. Got it?" "Yes, sir." If he is annoyed by me, he's not showing it. "What type of appetizer would you like?" "Do you have quesadillas?" "We do." "Well, sign me up for 2. 2 slices of quesadilla?" "No, 2 full quesadillas." He scans me up and down, just like RoboCop Mark 9 did. "Sir, based on your height, mass, metabolic rate, and body type, the caloric content of 2 full quesadillas represents 130% of your recommended daily intake." "My what?" A hot broad passes by and I shoot her a wink. She ignores me and continues. "The FDA recently passed new federal guidelines for the enjoyment of Mexican food." "Are you pulling my leg?" The human droid looks shocked. "No, sir. I am simply informing you of the FDA's recent federal guidelines. Due to the high fat and sodium content of Mexican food as consumed by Americans, guidelines have been put into place to help reduce the deleterious consequences of overconsumption." "So I can't have 2 quesadillas?" "You can, but it is highly inadvisable, and I'll have to flag your account to the FDA monitoring group, who will likely send you an iNet message reminding you to eat healthy." "You're shitting me." "Unlikely, sir. I do not excrete my waste products as do human beings, and I'm afraid that you represent far too large a bolus for me to pass." His expression remains carefully neutral. I raise my eyebrow at the droid. I'm sorry. Oh, man. I raise my eyebrow at the droid, and just for a moment I channel the spirit of Mo Howard. "A wise guy, eh?" "Not at all, sir. I am performing my assigned duty in the friendliest and most informative assistive manner possible." "Well, excellent then. If it's not too much to bother, do you think that you could get me 2 quesadillas, extra cheese, 2 large beers, a side order of bacon, and a shaker of bad cholesterol? And bill the people paying for my room, the FCG. No, no man. Machine or federal... No man, machine, or federal entity will tell me how many quesadillas I can enjoy over my dead body." "There is a zero-carb, organic, no-saturated fat option." Alright, and, that's the end of the quesadilla scene, but this next scene is like, okay, let me know what you guys think of my, what's his name? Humphrey Bogart impression, because he's watching Maltese Falcon. I hope they don't hang you, precious, by that sweet neck. Yes, Angel, I'm gonna send you over. The chances are you'll get off with life. That means if you're a good girl, you'll be out in 20 years. I'll be waiting for you. If they hang you, I'll always remember you. On my bed watching the Maltese Falcon, when I hear a knock at the door. I open it and barely make eye contact with a different, friendly, informative, assistive human droid hospitality team member who's holding a stainless steel serving tray with two frosty cold 40-ounce bottles of barley pop in an ice bucket and an insulated dome-covered dish. Dinner is served. Are both of these for you, sir? He asks. What are you, the big quesadilla sheriff of the house? The head uber sturm quesadilla Fuhrer of the FDA's calorie Nazis? Yes, they're both for me. Sir, FDA guidelines. Shut up! Sir, I need a verbal confirmation that you realize the risks of eating Mexican food in this quantity. Risks? I almost laugh. All right, droid, here's your verbal confirmation. I'm aware of the risks. Now give me my food. Excuse me. Sir, the chef regrets to inform you that a shaker of bad cholesterol is unavailable, so he included an extra side order of bacon. He hands me the tray. Tell him I said thanks. I take the tray from him and let the door slam shut behind me. Sticky, gooey, cheesy quesadillas find their way into my mouth. I munch the grilled chicken bits, cilantro, onions, and bell peppers, and enjoy the flavors as they carpet bomb my taste buds. The bacon is a nice crispy addition, and it all goes especially well with the cheap beer. I reflect that the chef at the Mondegreen probably has 2 shakers of bad cholesterol in his kitchen. The bastard. One brewski later, and I'm feeling good. Heavy, but good. The slight buzz is comforting, nerve calming. With the flick on the tube and my belly full of Mexican food, I'm a happy camper. A man at rest. I'm about to take the first sip of my second beer when my eyes dart from the screen to the NV visor. A large gulp later, and I'm standing, slowly making my way over to the haptic chair. I relax onto the chair, staring across the room at my bed, at the silver tray, topped with a few plastic salsa containers and the gnawed corpse of the second quesadilla. Another sip from my beer. The bottle is indeed half full or half empty, depending on how you look at it. Me? I'm a half-empty guy, so I go ahead and down the rest. I relax onto the haptic chair, place the NV visor over my face, and listen for the Brian Eno tone. Sine waves appear on the inside of my visor and dance like octopi during a tsunami. I'm familiar with what happens next. If I keep the visor on, I'll eventually drift off and I'll be able to select a Proxima world from my preferred list. I can dive into any world, but some worlds are exclusive. Some have a membership cost, and some, like the Loop, are archival worlds. Dead worlds. They still exist, but they're no longer advertised or known by the masses. This was why I never saw a human player in the Loop until I met Francis. People can't readily find archival worlds, as there are hundreds and they're buried in the stack. Further, worlds with glitches are immediately closed by the Proxima network, which means it takes some hacking to get into them. Luckily, the Loop is one of my preferred worlds. Here goes nothing, I say, as I relax further into the haptic chair. All right, that's it. So that's the quesadilla scene. Thank you. I believe it was Josh who who requested that. So thank you, Josh, um, for reminding me about the quesadillas. It's a good scene. So that is Steampunk is Dead, book 2 of the Feedback Loop series. Go check it out on Audible. And next, we go to Richard M. Mulder's request. And actually, I forgot to send him. Let's see. Let me find his Facebook. I forgot to send him a link for the stream. I know he's in the audience there. He can join us and tell us a little bit more about the book, about the GameLit expansion pack, and everything. All right, I got to pull it up now. All right, this is check. There's Richard Mulder joining
Hello.
us on the stream. How's it going, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about the entire expansion pack. And
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
so my kids might run in here screaming in a minute if so. Just a heads up. But
That's cool. Is there
so
like a kid? Is there like a kid's role that maybe one of them can take for the reading?
there we go.
Child.
Not in the story, no. But GameLit expansion pack came about. The idea was it came back in September essentially, and myself and a bunch of other authors, they were excited about the idea. It was when GameLit first was birthed. We had we had a secret group that we were organizing and everything, and coming up with ideas. And this was one of them, to have an anthology with some of our authors in the group, as well as some bestsellers. And it took a while, but it finally released 2 days ago on Friday, and it's still, from day one, it hit #1 new release in science fiction anthologies, and it's still #1 to this day. So
Cool.
this third day running, so pretty excited.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so you have what, 8, 10 authors on this thing?
9 authors.
9 authors.
Mhm.
Wrong on both counts. Okay.
No, you're fine.
Just right around the target.
Close.
So so is there like a particular theme behind all of these, or is GameLit the only theme?
GameLit is the theme, correct.
Okay.
The side topic, basically, it's an expansion set. So
Mhm.
they are expansion stories to existing stories. So, for
Okay.
example, Eden Red, her expansion is part of the Lude Saga Kingdom. My expansion is part of the Conquest Saga. We've got Brian Anderson. He's a USA Today bestselling author, and his story, The Runner, is an expansion of the Veil. And I mentioned this last time, but I'm not sure if you remember. But the Veil has been so highly acclaimed that Audible offered him $230,000 for exclusive rights to.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
so it's very excited to have him included in this anthology. And then we've also got Anthea Sharp. Trinket is her short story, and this is actually an expansion to her Phelan, the Phelan. Phelan Chronicles? No, that's not the right word. Anyway, basically, she's got a full best-selling series, and this is a story in that universe as well. But
Wow.
yeah,
Let me I'm gonna look up this Veil. How did I not hear about this? Okay.
so the Veil is still, the audiobook portion is still in production.
Uh-huh.
The book itself is available on Amazon, ebook.
Piercing? No, it's not Piercing the Veil. Journey of Fate.
Mm-hmm.
Dragonbane. Oh, here the VALE. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I should
I'm like
clarify.
I put in VEIL. Okay, so wait, there is an audiobook
Oh, is it
narrated by
available
Derek
now?
Perkins.
Oh, I didn't think it was released yet. Apparently, it has.
Or well, there's Behind the Veil. Is that the same thing?
Yep, The Veil Behind the Veil. That's the first book in the series.
Okay, cool. And wow, it did
And
that
then The
well. It
Runner,
did that
which
well to
is
where
newer.
they offered him that much, huh?
Yeah,
Holy crap. Wow. Okay, so
yeah. He's also the author of the Godling Chronicles. They offered him quite a bit for that one as well. But he actually just barely got. Oh well, never mind. I can't go tell you that yet.
uh-oh.
That's a secret. I forgot. Oh,
Can't be telling industry secrets, dude. Cut it out. Cut that
so
shit out.
I didn't say it yet.
All right.
Cut me off. But there's also something exciting that he's going to reveal probably in the next few months.
All right, cool. Well, I guess let's get started here. Now you're having me start on chapter 3 today, the hunting party.
If you'd like I mentioned, I sent in the messages there. You're welcome to start chapter 1 and 2 again since they're pretty short, and those are also in your email inbox.
Okay. Actually, I think we'll have people, if they want to check out chapters 1 and 2, you can
Or
search through, the archive of videos here on the Sound Booth Theater Live video or YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed, by the way, you should, so that you can get notifications whenever we're doing more of these shows. But yeah, so let's see. Let me see what your notes are here. For Chapter 3, while battling each other in an FPS setting, players must find a set of hidden stones infused with an ancient power and return them to various obelisks surrounding the land. Little do they know, however, that the more they level up in the game, the more they carry out the sinister work of the loathsome creature called the Leviathan. Okay, so I think I read that just a little bit earlier. It's the
Yep.
same thing. Chapter 3, Hunting Party. Okay, you got any other directions for me on this one?
Nope, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and hit mute.
All right, cool. We're going. Chapter 3, Hunting Party. The river on the map was much wider than Brittany anticipated. It was not a narrow stream, a raging river that dropped off at It was not a narrow stream, but a raging river that dropped off at a steep waterfall. It had taken her nearly an hour of jogging downstream to the edge of the southern wooded area that she had seen on the map to find a shallow part of the river where she could cross. By the time she arrived, it was dusk. She held all 3 guns above her head as she waded neck deep through the water. After her encounter with the dragon, she decided to keep the Sega despite being out of rounds. She figured that if she were to take down any opponents armed with 12-gauge shotguns during her travels, she could extract the shells. The automatic load feature of the Sega was far superior, because the few seconds it took to reload a standard shotgun could mean the difference between life and death. When she reached the far shoreline, she felt her stomach groan. Normally, the game would suppress her metabolism while she played by artificially stimulating the cortisol levels in her brain. Ever since the malfunction, though, nothing in the game seemed to be normal anymore. In her youth, Brittany had been infatuated by the survivalist movement. Her favorite television shows were documentaries about prepping for doomsday or how to survive in the wild. Some of her favorite books included topics like how to identify edible vegetation and how to skin a wild animal. It was this same infatuation that led her to ultimately enter the police academy. She glanced at her lush surroundings in the dimming sunlight, identifying dandelions, wood sorrel, and dead nettle. The virtual vegetation wasn't exactly a feast, but, oddly, it kept her stomach pains at bay. Something whizzed past her ear, and she intuitively knew it had been a long-range bullet. She dove for cover in the thick trees. She peeked her head out and squinted at the prairie to the north. Where is the coward? She saw the distinct flash of flint nearly 200 yards out. Another bullet embedded itself in a nearby tree. There you are. He had a long-range rifle. None of the weapons she had obtained could cover that kind of distance. She'd have to wait it out until both suns set before she could get any closer. She became aware that her shimmery armor made her the perfect target. Every glint of sunlight betrayed her location for miles. To make matters worse, the magical force field that normally shielded her neck was offline. It unnerved her to know that she was so exposed and vulnerable. She considered disappearing into the woods, but much greater dangers lurked in such shadowy places, so it was best to stay out in the open. At least until the game started allowing guns. What a predicament. Avoid the sniper by running off into the woods where she could face unknown dangers, or wait him out and try to get a jump on him after dark. She debated for a few minutes and made her decision. She'd wait it out. Besides, she was eager to get her hands on a long-range rifle. It would make gaining XP kill points to level up much easier. She dodged from behind one tree to the next. 3 bullets zipped past after she saw the flashes of flint. What concerned her, though, was where each had come from. One of the flashes had come from the original reference point, but the other 2 had come from opposing 90-degree angles. It's a hunting party. They're closing in from the sides. All she needed was one rifle, and she could use it to take the other 2 down. They likely had night vision scopes on them, considering the hunters had seen her dodge between the trees in such dim light. There was only one choice left. Without a second's hesitation, she dove deeper into the woods. After 100 feet, she took a sharp turn to the left and barreled north through the thick forest. It was difficult to see anything, and she tripped over thick roots several times. She pressed her right temple and accessed her HUD. As anticipated, the map lit up with markers for her 3 attackers, but her own marker had disappeared because she was now in the Lost Zone. The game had been specifically designed to disable the ability to map out your whereabouts while inside the forests, so as to reduce your chances of survival. The risk of encountering a monster was significant, but it was the only way she could get a jump on one of her attackers. Being unable to track her exact location made it difficult to judge how far she needed to run, but she had a pretty good guess. After several minutes of stumbling northward, she had a gut instinct to turn back toward the clearing. Angling left, she slowed to a jog. The forest thinned, and she saw the clearing not too far off in the distance. Brittany shouldered the AK-47 and inched forward while catching her breath. At any moment, the map would light up with her marker and give her away. She'd only have one chance to take the hunter down. And then she saw the dim light of a cigarette. The hunter had taken the necessary precaution of pointing it away from the clearing and shielding it with his hand, but he hadn't expected that anyone would approach him from behind. Got you. She dropped him with a single shot to the head. Medium kill, plus 20 XP. An invisible force knocked her over. She screamed out in terror when an inky black tentacle wrapped around her leg. Turning abruptly, she came face to face with what appeared to be a land-bound squid covered with gnashing, razor-sharp teeth. Her HUD alerted her that the monster was a level 6 opponent. Without hesitation, she switched the AK-47 from manual to semi-automatic mode. The spray of bullets knocked the creature backwards, sending it shrieking back into the forest. After expending the full magazine, the trigger clicked a few times before she released her finger. That was a lot of ammo I just burned through for no XP, she scolded herself. She wasn't about to chase the creature. Knowing the other 2 hunters would be alerted by the appearance of her marker, she bolted out of the creepy forest and ripped the rifle out of the dead hunter's hands. Remington 700, bolt-action hunting rifle. 308 ammunition, 136 out of 150 available rounds. She took quick aim with the night vision scope and took out the first hunter without a challenge. Medium kill, plus 20 XP. A bullet whizzed past, sharpening her focus. The marksmanship of these hunters left a lot to be desired. She glanced down at the body at her feet. He was just a kid. A pang of guilt rose in her throat, and she had to remind herself yet again that it was just a game. But it feels so real. Shaking off the morbid thoughts creeping into her mind, she took careful aim and fired. Excuse me. Medium kill, plus 20 XP. Another alert followed. Level up! A wisp of darkness swirled at her feet, and a chime sounded from the sky as her character ascended to level 4. That was too easy, she chuckled to herself as she strode into the clearing to collect the ammunition from her fallen opponents. She pulled up her HUD as she walked. According to her character sheet, she was now 145 XP away from level 5. As the game progressed, each level would become increasingly more difficult to obtain. On the plus side, XP kill points would also increase based upon a set calculation between an easy kill, a medium kill, or a difficult kill. Having formerly been a level 18 player prior to the game malfunction, thinking about this only made her angry. Doug did this. When I find him, I'll make him pay. Chapter 4. The Guild. Brittany stayed close to the edge of the forest, but not too close as to avoid being dragged inside by the hidden beasts she was certain were following her every move. Her senses had heightened from the recent encounter with the tentacled monster, and the follicles of her hair were prickling in anticipation. The 3 moons cast an eerie blue glow in the sky, making the prevailing darkness unsettling. A faraway boom echoed overhead, the sky lit up by a falling fireball. She watched the strange sight as it descended and felt the tremor as it made impact. A meteor? Her HUD lit up and pinpointed the impact site. Darkforce servers detect a foreign object has fallen from the sky in your vicinity. Unknown objects hold hidden secrets that often yield player improvements. Would you like to begin a discovery quest? Yes or no? Though it would take her slightly off course from her weapons quest, Brittany's curiosity got the better of her. She selected yes. After stumbling through the dark for several minutes, she crested a hill, seeing the glow of fire in the distance. Her HUD confirmed the glow as her intended destination, and she felt drawn to it like a bug to a flame. She was tired from the long hours she had logged and wanted nothing more than to log out and curl up in her bed, but the prospect of increasing her player stats was too tempting an offer to pass up. She trudged onward. Half an hour passed before she finally neared her destination. As she drew closer, she stopped short. I'm not alone. 5 players lit up on the screen. All were level 3 characters. Easy pickings. Brittany aimed the hunting rifle at the group as they walked toward the meteor's impact site and took out one of them. The others scrambled for safety. Medium kill, plus 25 XP. She trained her eye through the scope, and the instant one of the players popped his head up, she put a bullet through it. Easy kill, plus 20 XP.
Hold your fire!
She heard a woman yell.
Please! We mean you no harm!
The woman stood up, her arms raised in surrender. For a brief second, Brittany hesitated, and that's all it took. In an instant, she was surrounded on either side by 2 men, their gun barrels pressed against her head.
Drop your weapons and we'll spare your life!
Brittany rolled her eyes. What's the point? I'll just respawn back at the tower.
Funny thing,
The woman sneered.
the 3 of us are all that's left of our guild. We've lost 4 today and still haven't received any system alerts about their respawns.
A look of alarm flashed across Brittany's face as a foreboding thought returned. No respawns? But this can't be RL. What are you saying? Brittany's eyebrows furrowed.
Somehow Darkforce is locked in a permadeath setting,
The woman replied.
I have my suspicions that if you die here, you'll also die in RL.
That's preposterous, Brittany said, unable to hide the tremor in her voice.
Is it though?
The woman said.
A lot of strange things have happened since the server reset. I'm sure you've noticed?
Brittany nodded. What do you want from me?
You've heard a lot about you at Iron Vixen.
I wonder if the at should be said in this context.
We want to extend you an invitation to join our guild.
I work alone, Brittany offered. Brittany scoffed.
I'm not asking.
The woman nodded to the men, who in turn cocked their weapons. A system alert popped up in her augmented vision. Blonde Warrior has extended an invitation to join her guild. Do you wish to accept? Yes or no?
So what's it gonna be?
Blonde Warrior pressed.
Join us or die.
She stared at the screen. It took a full minute of internal struggling before she made her decision. Brittany chose yes. The 2 men withdrew their weapons. Brittany took quick aim with her 1911 at one of the 2 men, but was unable to pull the trigger. Instead, an error box popped up. Error. You cannot attack a member of your own guild. Annoyance flashed across her face as she lowered her weapon. Blonde Warrior grinned wryly.
Welcome to the team.
So that's your angle, Brittany glared at her. Seek out skilled players and trap them in your guild. Nice one, Blondie. She extended a hand.
Call me Vicky.
No, Brittany ignored the gesture. Blondie suits you better. They glared at each other for several moments until one of the men, player name Vragith16, broke the silence. Glad to have you on our team. I'm Brad. Did this little wench force you onto her team as well? Brittany fumed. Actually, no. He pointed to his teammates. Vicky, Sam, and I have been in the same guild for years. The 2 members you killed off were newbies. The other man, Gear 5, Gihr 5, spoke up. I'm honestly surprised you didn't kill me off first. I'm usually the first one to go. That's because you always play like a noob. Brad elbowed Sam in the gut. I assume Blondie here is your guild leader, then? Brittany asked, nauseated by the banter. Not exactly. She kinda assumed temporary leadership when our guild leader disappeared a few weeks ago. He often has hardware issues, so his absence isn't too surprising. Hardware issues? Yeah, Brad explained. Every so often his microchip goes berserk and he has to get a new one surgically installed. I've never heard of such a thing. I've never heard of such a thing, Brittany scoffed. We hadn't either. I have a theory, Blondie chimed in with a wry grin. I spoke with him after our failed quest last week. He confided in me that he was about to propose to his girlfriend that night. Dude! Seriously? Brad fumed. Brad fumed. Do you mean to tell me he abandoned us for a full week because he's been getting laid? That's what it sounds like. What I wouldn't do to hack into his AR feed right now. Don't be a perv. Don't be a perv, Blondie snapped. So this guild leader of yours, Brittany chewed on a thought. He won't be upset I joined? I doubt it. He's pretty chill. She shrugged. Besides, I'm the leader until he shows his sorry face. My guild, my rules. And your rules are? I'm still considering all of them, but off the top of my head, I think we should share our quests and inventories. Brittany's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. You're about to find out. An alert popped up in Brittany's augmented field of vision. Blonde Warrior has just accessed your inventory. Get your grubby hands out of there! Ooh, you've got an AK-47? Blondie cooed. I think I'll take that. Brittany watched in impotent rage as the weapon disappeared from her inventory, now rendering it a useless weight strapped to her back. You'll pay for this, she said through gritted teeth. You don't intimidate me in the slightest, fellow Blondie. Brittany swung the strap of the AK-47 over her head and begrudgingly handed over the coveted weapon. Just watch your back. I see you've got 3 outstanding quests, too. Blondie scowled. Care to share in the spoils? Brittany's eyes narrowed. Over my dead avatar. Now that's no way to talk to your guild leader. Blonde Warrior has just shared 3 quests with your guild. No way! No way, Brad stammered. You actually found the legendary Tower of Babel? Yes, Brittany seethed. And you sure as hell better keep it a secret, or else I'll destroy all of you. And that's that for Darkforce. Darkforce, right? Darkforce? Expansion?
Yep.
Yes, Darkforce. Expansion 1 from the Conquest Saga. And that is in the GameLit expansion pack, which is a GameLit anthology available on Amazon right now. And the #1 new release in science fiction anthologies. So, if you guys liked that, you might want to go pick up the rest. I mean, lots of authors that I recognize on the spines of these books. So, yeah, go check it out, guys. And Richard, thanks a bunch for requesting yet again. And again, guys, if you want to listen to the first 2 chapters of this one that I did on a previous Sound Booth Theater Live, you'll find them in our list of videos, of previous videos. So, Richard, thanks for joining us, and we will see you again another time.
Thank you, Jeff. You did great.
Thank you. Have a good one, man. All right. So, there goes Richard. And our last request for today is a Cringe Theater request. So everybody, hide your husband, hide your wife, hide your kids, because this one's gonna get dirty, super dirty. Let's see here, because it is Succubus. It's Succubus 2. I mean, I mean, if it's not dirty, how would it be worth reading anyway? Excuse me. All right, so let's take a look at this. Danny says it's not that dirty, but I'm putting it in the Cringe Theater just in case. This is not safe for work. So anybody who gets squeamish about explicit content, please go away, because we don't want you to cry and have like PTSD from watching my show. Danny says some of the banter is goddamned inappropriate, which I'm so excited for. And I have a feeling that this is going to be like really well written and stuff. I don't know, just the vibe I'm getting from this series in general. So, you guys, here's your last chance to hide everyone that you know who could be offended by explicit, sexy content. This is Cringe Theater, and I am going to be reading Succubus 2: Hell to Pay, a lit RPG series by A.J. Markham. All right, let's see. All right, so here are some of the notes I got. Ian, mid-20s gamer guy, regular male voice, not geeky, not super macho or deep, just normal run-of-the-mill voice. Okay. Alaria, incredibly sexy and sultry, mid-range voice, closer to a young Lauren Bacall's voice, but maybe not quite that deep. Definitely not high-pitched or breathy. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up who the fuck Lauren Bacall is. You guys can make fun of me for that. I honestly don't know. It BACA. Here we go. There's an interview of her. Oh wow.
It's about time you got. I thought so, actually, but I didn't really know what we'd talk about, Dick. And actually, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about now because you've kind of said it all, haven't you? I mean, you told the story of my life already. Well, then I'll just put that aside. No. No, the truth is, if there's a question you might as well brace yourself for if you're going to do very many interviews about the book. I had a book once, and they always said, "Why did you write a book?" Which seems to me pointless. But in your case, it's not a bad question because you are, well, you are known to be a private person, and I think some people would have predicted that you.
Okay, so this is her older, later on in life, I guess.
So much you've learned so much by having lived so long.
I have a feeling he's talking about how she sounds like in movies or something. She's an actress?
When you were first there as
Is that
a
it?
green girl of 19, and somebody made an anti-Semitic remark in your presence, what went on inside? Lots of cringing, lots of stomach turning upside down, inside out.
Let's see. Let's try this one.
Baron Clarius, is that right? Would you be good enough to tell us where you're from?
Jackson Heights, New York.
Jackson Heights, New York. And is it?
Yes. Would there be any activity?
Okay, I think this is her.
Are you judging from the applause what might be called a glamour girl?
Yeah.
Are you or have you ever been in motion pictures? Oh, we. Is that your current form of employment? We. Are you more famous for your work in movies than on the stage? What's that?
That's her. You never took me. That's yes.
Oh, have you ever done anything besides movie work? Oh, we. Have you ever appeared in television?
Small conference. Awfully sorry.
She wants to know if this counts. Please. Have you ever appeared on a
Okay, this is
radio
not
program?
informative.
This is the lovely motion picture actress and star of the new
It's
movie
another interview.
Shark
Come on.
Treatment, Lauren
Is she like
Bacall.
in movies?
This is my partner, William Collishaw from Suffolk, New York.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying real hard to find her like acting. Uh,
We must get together and listen to the Civil War. Just the two of us.
okay, she's in the big sleep.
I'm late. Sorry.
How are you today?
Better than last night.
It's funny, we already referenced Bogart today.
Well, Max.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Rutledge.
Got a table for us?
Certainly, madam. This way.
Got a table for us? Got a table for us? But not quite this low, apparently.
Scotch and plain water, yes? Now, how'd you happen to pick out this place?
Maybe I wanted to hold your hand.
Oh, that can be arranged. Huh. What do you want to see me about?
Well, one thing, my father was very pleased when he saw the morning papers. So was I.
Yes, we both.
Okay. That's enough. I get it. Just wing it. I'll wing it. All right. Incredibly sexy and sultry, mid-range voice, closer to a young Lauren Bacall's voice, but maybe not quite that deep. Definitely not high-pitched or breathy. Okay. Stig, described in the book as Kermit the Frog, 20 years into a two packs of cigarettes a day habit, basically a higher-pitched croaking voice. All right, that'll be fun. All right, Kermit the Frog here, but with some cigarettes involved. And higher pitched. That's gonna be rough. All right, I'll see what I can do with this. All right, priest. I imagine him as having a deeper voice. He's fairly serious, not a televangelist style mockery. Okay, woman in burlap sack. Imagine her as sounding like the secretary from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, except a stuck-up, religious, passive-aggressive type. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. He gave me a YouTube link, I'm assuming to the Ferris Bueller reference. So I will look that up right now.
He's very popular, Ed. The sportos,
Oh, this lady.
kids, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
All right.
All right, then. I imagine her sounding like the secretary from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, except a stuck-up, religious, passive-aggressive type.
All right. Here goes. A little background. The main character, Ian, is playing a virtual reality game where he's a warlock, a type of magician who summons demons to fight for him. The succubus, Ilaria, is a gorgeous woman with bat wings, a devil's tail, and crimson skin. They had to camouflage her with white flour in a milkmaid's bonnet and dressed to get her to pass as human. And the imp Stig is about 2 feet tall and gray. They're on a mission to kill one of the succubus's abusive former masters. All right. Here goes, guys. This is Succubus 2, Hell to Pay, a LitRPG series by AJ Markham, and this is Cringe Theater. So again, one more time, I will warn you: hide your husbands, hide your wife, hide your kids. They're raping everybody out here. And yeah, if you don't like inappropriate material, this is not for you. So go away. But if you have some balls and you do like this kind of stuff, stick around because it's supposed to be hilarious. Okay. Okay, and just right away, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of an extreme storyteller narration here because just right off the bat, I'm getting some stylism out of the writing. And so, as the sun went down and twilight fell, a warlock, an imp, and a succubus found themselves in the house of the goddess of chastity. The flower had worked out remarkably well on Alaria. Ever seen a movie where an aristocratic woman in 18th century France looks ivory white? That's sort of what Alaria had going on. The white powder on her skin was obvious, but in the dim light it hid the red skin just enough to get by. Actually, it just made her look pink and dusty, but she had to take what she could get. Her black hair had been messed up by the flower as well, but she'd stuffed all her hair up into the milkmaid's bonnet on top of her head. Uh-oh. Never mind. This is first person. All right, going back. And so, as the sun went down and twilight fell, a warlock, an imp, and a succubus found themselves in the house of the goddess of chastity. The flower had worked out remarkably well on Alaria. Ever seen a movie where an aristocratic woman in 18th century France looks ivory white? That's sort of what Alaria had going on. The white powder on her skin was obvious, but in the dim light it hid the red skin just enough to get by. Actually, it just made her look pink and dusty, but you had to take what you could get. Her black hair had been messed up by the flower as well, but she'd stuffed all her hair up into the milkmaid's bonnet on top of her head. Frankly, though, I was surprised they would let her inside the church of a goddess of chastity when she was spilling out of the top of the milkmaid's dress. Like, literally. I think the bust size was about 2 cup sizes too small for her breasts, and her boobs were literally overflowing the laced bodice. Not that I was complaining, mind you. The only problem was, her wings being strapped to her back didn't do her any favors. She looked like a cross between a hunchback and a playmate who had been close to a grain mill when it exploded. "I look hideous," Valeria complained as we walked up the steps of the church. "Not as hideous as our baby," I said. "Not nice, boss," Stig grumbled. He was wearing the baby's dress and grapefruit-sized bonnet on his head, with his long ears stuffed up inside. However, the clothes did nothing to camouflage his gray skin, his glowing yellow eyes, or his 2 slits instead of a nose. So I told him to keep his eyes closed, pretend you're asleep, and Ilaria hugged him as close to her bosom as possible. I would have given quite a bit of money to be in Stig's position, but since he was an imp and not a human male, he didn't particularly seem to be enjoying himself next to those heavenly globes. As we entered the church, I saw dozens of farmers and their families packed tight on wooden pews. Many women were holding fussing babies. Children sat with bored expressions on their faces, and those who moved got a sharp rap on the back of the head. So, basically, the worst church you can imagine, straight out of 1850s America. "Now I know why so many people join organized religion," Valeria muttered as she looked out over the hushed audience. "Why's that?" I whispered back. "Because everybody's having so much fun," she said sarcastically. Suddenly, a chipper voice assaulted us from our left. I looked over to see a middle-aged, short, fat, blonde woman in a dress that looked like she'd sewed it out of sackcloth.
Welcome! Blessings of the goddess be upon you.
She paused and looked at us in confusion.
I don't think I know you.
"We're new in town," I said with a forced smile. Our blonde welcome wagon looked over at my wife, or more accurately, stared at her overflowing top.
You are followers of the goddess Celastia?
She asked doubtfully. "Oh, yes," I said. "We love her." "All night long," Ilaria added with a simpering smile. I elbowed Ilaria lightly in the ribs to reproach her. Seconds later, I felt her tail whack me in the ass, which she only could have done if her tail was protruding beyond the hem of her dress. I just prayed to God, or whoever was listening, that nobody had seen it. Our chubby church greeter seemed a little taken aback by our lack of religious graces.
I see.
Then she saw the baby clutched face first to Ilaria's chest.
"Oh, you have a baby!"
she cried out, suddenly much friendlier again.
"I remember mine at that age. So cute."
Eh. Ilaria grunted and Ilaria grunted unenthusiastically.
Can I see the little darling?
He's sleeping, I said, hoping Stig would take the cue not to move or open his eyes. No such luck. He shifted his head away from Ilaria's boobs and gasped. I couldn't really blame him. He was probably being suffocated in her cleavage. But man, what a way to go.
He seems to have woken up,
the woman said cheerfully as she leaned over, then froze as soon as she saw Stig's gray face, and his lack of a nose, and his generally ugly-ass features. She stepped back as though she had opened a cabinet and found a big ol' rat staring at her.
Is he all right?
She asked, obviously unnerved. He's fine, I said.
He looks different. I dropped him a lot as a baby,
Ilaria said.
It rearranged his face a little.
Oh my god. The lady looked horrified, then started to scowl.
As long as we are on the topic, I noticed you're wearing a great deal of powder.
Ilaria scrunched up her face like, what the hell? That's not on the topic at all. The woman continued, obviously intent on continuing whatever moral lesson she was about to impart.
The goddess does not approve of makeup, you know.
Oh, Ilaria said. This isn't makeup. I froze. Honey?
We were at the miller's and I fell in the flower. I didn't have time to bathe before we came, so here we are.
Oh, the woman said, obviously bewildered. It really was the strangest story I had ever heard, so I sympathized with her. Suddenly, Stig sneezed and sent up a puff of white dust from Ilaria's ample chest. Oh, was my nose itching?
Oh,
the fat woman said, frowning again as she stared at Ilaria's boobs.
What's wrong with your skin?
I looked over and saw that Stig's sneeze had blown off a good bit of flour. The exposed skin wasn't red exactly, but it was unnaturally pink underneath the remaining flour, that was for sure.
Terrible sunburn,
Ilaria said, not missing a beat. Man, she could lie. Ice wouldn't melt in her mouth. She was so cool when she did it.
Oh,
Honey, didn't you say that you knew somebody from this area? I said, trying desperately to change the subject.
yes, someone who lived here years ago. Do you know a man by the name of Jestoff?
Ilaria asked.
Why, of course,
the woman squealed, happy again.
He's...
A booming voice suddenly filled the hall. Brothers and sisters in the holy light of Telastia, please rise. As the entire congregation got to their feet, a bald man with a beard strode out on stage, dressed all in white robes with his hands lifted high. Ilaria's eyes bugged out and her mouth dropped open.
Well, you can see him right there,
the fat little blonde woman tittered.
Father Jastoth, High Priest of Celestia.
Shit of the gods, Ilaria cursed under her breath, but not so quietly it couldn't be heard. The blonde woman gasped and frowned furiously. I ignored her pearl clutching and focused on Ilaria. Is that him? Yes, my succubus said, her voice like cold razor blades. Are you sure? It's been a long time, right? Way too long, Ilaria seethed, and I knew she wasn't talking about making his reacquaintance.
I have to go sit now,
the scandalized blonde woman sniffed as she scurried away. So your former master is the preacher? I asked, astounded. It would appear so. Do you think he, I don't know, converted? Ilaria narrowed her eyes suspiciously. He probably wants everyone to think so, but I'm not convinced. Not that I care. He could be the holiest asshole on the mountain and I'd still kill the bastard. Do you want to do it right now? I whispered, or should we wait? Excuse me. Let's wait. I'd like to hear what he has to say, she said, then smiled so cruelly it sent a shiver down my spine. Before I kill him. We sat down on the very last pew in the only space still available. After a few dour hymns, the sermon began in earnest. If this guy had ever been a warlock, he must have truly had a Damascus Road-style conversion. He was a holy roller now, that was for sure. A real fire and brimstone asshole. The funny thing was, Ilaria kept up a constant whispered commentary during the sermon, sort of like Mystery Science Theater 3000, except done by a hot chick in a depressing church. "Brethren! Brethren!" Jastoth yelled. "I know that resisting the desires of the flesh is hard." "Especially when something else is hard, too," Ilaria whispered. "But if you give in, they will lead to eternal burning." "Only when you pee, and then you go see an apothecary, and it's over in 3 to 4 days." At some point, a parishioner sitting in front of us turned around and scowled at Ilaria. I don't know if he heard exactly what she was saying, but he was definitely pissed that she was talking during the service. In answer, Ilaria turned Stig around to look at the churchgoer. As soon as he saw our butt-ugly baby, the churchgoer's eyes bugged out. He turned around without another word, pale as the underbelly of a fish. "That was effective," Ilaria whispered in surprise, then resumed her commentary. "The goddess is displeased," Jastoth roared, "because he stuck it in the wrong hole." I snorted, trying to hold back my laughter. More parishioners looked around at us and scowled, though they left us alone as soon as Ilaria flashed them our baby. At some point, Ilaria grew bored and spoke up loudly next to me. Sir, I have a question." I looked at her in confusion. What the hell was she up to? Jastoth looked out angrily across the crowd. I don't know if he saw her or not, but he definitely heard her. It was impossible not to. "Who speaks?" he thundered. "A humble servant of the goddess," Ilaria called out. "I just have one quick question." "Now is not the time." "I heard that spanking was a sin," Ilaria called out. "No," the priest snarled. "Spare the rod and spoil the child." "No, I meant spanking women. I meant spanking a woman." The priest seemed taken aback. "Why would anyone spank a grown woman?" "Well, what if they've been bad?" Jastoth hesitated. "Well, if they have spoken heresy against the goddess—" "No, I mean, what if they've been really, really bad?" Ilaria said in an overwhelmingly sultry voice. The kind of voice that meant, "Take me now, big boy." I have to admit, I was getting a little excited just from hearing her. Jastoth seemed to be getting a little excited too. The front of his priestly robes below the waist rose up in a pup tent. The entire crowd gasped. At least half did. The other half tittered with laughter and snorted. Jastoth reacted angrily and held out his robes to disguise any unsightly bulges. "Woman, you are being deliberately provocative. Show yourself to be disciplined in front of the community." "Oh, are you going to spank me?" Ilaria asked, in a voice that was even more beguiling than before. "Have I been really, really bad?" The priest was getting seriously flustered now. You have sinned. That much is—" Ilaria stood up with baby Stig in her arms. "Will you put me over your knee?" she cooed. "I will thrash you within an inch of your life," the priest raged. "While you do it, will you get your manhood really close to my naughty bits?" You would think that everyone was about to have a heart attack from the scream that went up from the crowd. Ilaria stepped out into the aisle and started walking slowly down the aisle, her stiletto boots going click, click, click on the wooden floorboards. "But just tease me with the tip," she moaned. "Wait until I'm begging for it. Until I just can't stand it anymore. Until I'm writhing over your knee. Until I'm pleading with you. And then just stick it all the way in." Oh my God. I didn't know whether to be aroused or shocked. Apparently, neither did the rest of the crowd. They backed away from her like she was a rattlesnake. although I couldn't help but notice that all the men were staring at her chest. "Although," Ilaria said with that same cutting tone of voice that I recognized so well, "if you're going to stick something in, you should probably use your pinky. From what I remember, it was way bigger than what you've got between your legs." "What? You don't What? You don't remember me?" she asked defiantly as she walked closer to the front. "Is it the baby?" She let go of Stig. He fell to the ground with a clunk. All the churchgoers screamed. "She really did drop him a lot as a baby!" the fat blonde woman shrieked from the front of the room. "Ow!" Stig croaked from the floor. "Sorry," Ilaria said, without taking her eyes off the priest. "It's okay," the imp grunted, and stood up on his feet. Women actually fainted to see the ugly gray mug and yellow eyes peering out from underneath the baby bonnet. "What? You still don't know who I am, Jastoth?" Ilaria said. "Don't you remember doing the rite of Golgoth to bind me to you?" The entire church gasped, but Ilaria kept talking, faster and angrier. "Don't you remember the pentagram of fire you cast? Or the manacles you clamped on my wrists? Or the wretched, vile things you did to me that first night, and every other night afterwards while I was under your command?" The entire crowd looked over at the priest. His eyes were wide. Over the last 40 seconds, he had gone from crimson rage to pale, sickly panic. "No? Still no recollection?" Ilaria asked, and stopped walking. "Maybe this will jog your memory." Suddenly, every part of her clothing burst into flame, and the flower on her skin erupted in a fireball all around her. 2 seconds later, a red-skinned succubus stood before him, her tail lashing back and forth, her black wings fully outstretched, and a fireball rotating an inch above her outheld palm. "How about now, sweetie?" she asked with a voice equally saccharine and acid. "I know. It must be hard to remember. You weren't so interested in the goddess of chastity back in the day, were you?" "Kill her!" the priest yelled at the parishioners. It sounds like she has a problem with you, not us," someone yelled. "What in Azoth's name did you do to her?" someone else shouted. "I did nothing to her. She is a liar, and she is a demoness," the priest yelled. "Kill her!" The churchgoers began to grumble and mutter, but they didn't move. You could see on the priest's face that he knew it wasn't going well for him. Ilaria smiled with cold satisfaction. "Seems like all the people you've been oppressing aren't under your thumb anymore, Jastoth. Just like me." She was about to throw the fireball when the priest suddenly did something unthinkable. He grabbed the nearest child he could find and held her up in front of him. The entire church screamed in angry horror. So did I, but I was afraid that Ilaria didn't give a damn, that she would have her revenge no matter what, whether there was a child in the way or not. But I shouldn't have underestimated her. She gripped the fireball like it was some sort of stress toy and bared her teeth. "You son of a bitch," she muttered, but she just started walking towards him again. The priest backed up hurriedly, getting up on the stage behind the pulpit. "Stig!" I yelled out. "Save the girl!" "You got it, boss!" Stig yelled, and bolted up the aisle. It would have been pretty damn awesome, except for the baby's dressing gown he was wearing. His feet got tangled in it, and he face-planted on the church's floorboards. Stig immediately got up and started running again, then fell on his face again, just like Maggie Simpson. All he was missing was a pacifier and the sucking sound. Ilaria threw her unused fireball at Stig, which burned the dressing gown to cinders. "Thanks, lady!" Stig shouted, and raced up the aisle like a grotesque, naked, gray Olympic sprinter. The entire congregation shrieked some more, and people started running for the exit. Stig scrambled up the altar, jumped, and smacked right into the priest's face, his rubbery gray legs straddling Jastoth's ears. Then he started dry-humping the guy's head. I really couldn't believe my eyes. It was like that scene in The Hangover where Mr. Chow has his naked crotch in Bradley Cooper's face. except this time it was a 2-foot-tall gray Yoda instead of an Asian man. And there was dry humping, which I don't recall from The Hangover. The priest screamed and dropped the kid. As soon as the little girl hit the floor, she ran over to her father and jumped into his arms. The priest tore Stig off his head with one hand and threw him across the room, where he smacked into a pew. Ow! Stig grunted in a monotone voice. Good job, Stig! I yelled. Thanks, boss! Stig's disembodied voice floated up from beneath the bench. And that's the scene, guys. All right, so that one was fucking awesome. Man, I've been wanting to check out this Succubus book ever since I saw it on the Kindle market, on the Amazon book market. It's been doing so well. So if that sounded interesting to you guys, go check it out. It is on Amazon. Books 1 and 2 are available. I believe I was reading from book 2 there. Yeah, it's book 2 is still in the top 1,000, even though it's been out since May 9th. So it's got to be good. I would go check it out if I were you guys. Man, I would like him to talk. Can't take it on anymore. I can't take on any more clients though, guys. I just can't do it. I've made a mess of things as it is. So for now, I'm gonna call that the show. So thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Thank you for requesting audiobooks. I will be sending those to you today at some point. And yeah, let's see. Don't forget, guys, Sound Booth Theater has a bunch of new stuff out. Gunmeister Online, Adult and Uncensored by Noah Barnett. Please go pick that one up. That is Annie Ellicott's first full narration. She did an incredible job. I'm on there supporting her as all the males. Justin Thomas James is also playing one character who he played like perfectly, who was Montgomery, the Confederate soldier. And let's see, also pick up, Dungeon Lord 2, Otherworldly Powers. That just came out. Go ahead and pick up Super Sales 2. That just came out. William Aaron's sequel to Super Sales 1, obviously. I mean, like, apparently I've been watching the reviews a bit, and Nick has apparently done a really good job. So kudos to him. Kudos to William Aaron and Podium for pulling it off. Yeah, I mean, nothing but good reviews on there. So I would recommend going to check that out. And if you haven't already listened to Super Sales 1, of course, go pick that one up too. So let's see, I think that's it for now. So at 8 o'clock Central or 9 p.m. Eastern, we will have Charles is hosting a Drinking with Charles. I believe the link, you'll be able to find the link in the Facebook post on the Sound Booth Theater Live Facebook group. So you can go check that out. And Danny will be starting a new poll here pretty soon. So you guys can start voting on the next Sound Booth Theater Live. Requests only. Also, this Friday, I believe. I can't remember if it's Thursday or Friday, but the audiobook reviewer listener awards are going to be held here in Kansas City at the Here Now Festival. I'm on the board of directors for that festival. Paul Stokes, who owns the audiobookreviewer.com website, he asked for me to specifically present an award. I'm also nominated for 3 different LitRPG books, and Justin Thomas James is nominated for one. So who knows who's going to win this one? I mean, all the titles are apparently really good. Andrea Parsnow is also nominated, so she could win. I mean, look, guys, this is going to be a tight competition. So I'm nervous. It would be nice to win an award, but it would be excellent if Justin won too, or Andrea. I mean, both of those narrators are excellent, and they deserve it too. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be like maybe broadcasting a little bit from the event. If you guys are coming to the Here Now Festival, I'm gonna be happy to see you. I know I'm gonna be meeting Joe Hempel there at least, and like Scott Brick's gonna be there, and Robin Miles, who's another great narrator. She's amazing. Damn, the PJ Auckland's gonna be there. Stephen J. Cohen's gonna be there. Like a lot of people, a lot of big name narrators who I can't even remember them all. So yeah, it's gonna be great. And hopefully I'll see you guys again sometime soon. Maybe let's see. I don't think there's gonna be another Sound Booth Theater live this week, unless maybe Justin runs one, but there will at least be one a couple weeks from now. Just always check out the Sound Booth Theater Live Facebook group and pay attention to the poll, vote, request, and yeah. Thanks again for coming, guys, and I'll talk to you again later.